Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your eclipse season reading. This is going to be for the Pisces eclipse on the 7th and the Virgo eclipse on the 21st. And yes, even though this is published after the 7th on the 8th, it doesn't matter. You're going to be dealing with this energy for a while. You have this bring love into the situation and this meditate and contemplate card. Each row is going to represent something different, and this first row is going to represent what is being revealed to you. Plain and simple, Libra, I would spend even, especially like these first 2 weeks, maybe really until the end of September, getting to the bottom of anything that you want to get to the bottom of. That's like the first thing that's popping into my head. So let's say you're like struggling with like overthinking something with the Seven of Pentacles. One thing that can come up, especially with a Virgo eclipse, plus we have the South Node in Virgo, is analysis paralysis, where we are kind of thinking about something too much. I didn't want to pull these cards, but sure, we'll put them to the side. And we will look at them as well, because maybe they needed to come out. But, as I was saying, if there's, like, it is, I wouldn't say it's a good time for analysis paralysis. We'll take that too. But I feel if there ever was a time where maybe you could get, you could, be in that energy of analysis paralysis, as long as you're looking, doing research and kind of getting to the bottom of it, it would be right now, would be an okay time to do that, right? But again, you're not staying stuck in the energy. You're kind of like researching whatever it is that you're analyzing. And, that's kind of my first impression for you here, Libra. And the first thing that I would pay attention to if I were you. So again, in the area of what's being revealed to you, eclipses usually reveal something to us. You have the Six of Swords. We're kind of in this time of freedom because there's a lot of things that are making us feel not free. And, in November, we will also have Uranus going back into Taurus. Uranus and Taurus is freedom. Uranus and Taurus wants us to be truly free. We have this, magical triangle, it's called. It's kind of like a minor triangle. It's like a kind of like a minor, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but anyway, the whole point is it's between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and this will be lasting until like 2027. I've talked about this, you've probably heard me say this before, but I do feel it's like it is a positive aspect. It's kind of like one of the reasons I'm not completely worried about AI, turning into Terminator, for example, right? Because Uranus is there. Uranus is kind of like the quantum leap in science and all these other things that we could be dealing with as a society. But, this magical triangle that we're having between those planets until 2027 kind of like lightens the blow a little bit. And it also exposes truths with Neptune, and it will probably make things easier. But on a personal level, it is also kind of creating this energy for all of us where we can decide like how to make our lives more free. And the Six of Swords is about moving on to calmer shores. So I feel a lot of you are kind of like focused on that here, Libra. You've been stuck since like 2016, as I've said to you before. I feel like, some of the things that come up for Libra, for me as a reader, for you, are things like, I think some of you have had a hard time even, if let's say you went to college for something, like finding a job that is related to your degree, for example. I think Libras have had the hardest time out of all signs doing that. Getting something that you actually want to do, doing something that makes sense based off of what you do. All that is kind of like popping into my head. I would say the good news is that this eclipse could be kind of like enlightening you to some steps you can take to move forward. Like everybody else, I think you have to take some bigger risks at this time with the Five of Swords. Five of Swords can represent separation, walking away from things, winning at all cost, all that other stuff. But the thing with the Five of Swords is that sometimes the risk, it is a risk. He is maybe having to set himself apart, or maybe he's having to completely reinvent himself or move in a new direction. And, some of those things pop up. The other thing is we have the Hermit here, right here. The Hermit, we have this, again, the Virgo eclipse, we have the South Node Virgo. It's like, what parts of yourself do you not keep, what parts of yourself are you keeping hidden, is kind of what the Hermit says sometimes. And we'll talk about that more in the next row. But it's like sometimes I think people, it's like they have things to share. I'm just going to tell you what I'm feeling. I think you have things to share, or you have unique perspectives, but, like when we have a perspective, I think we don't think it's unique because it's ours. And so we don't speak up, or we don't, share. We don't tell people our ideas and things like that. And so I feel there's something about that here for you, Libra, where it's like you're thinking that something, maybe you're thinking that things about yourself or, things that you want to share aren't special enough. But I think it's only because of your perspective. It's only because it's your idea, if that makes sense. And I kind of feel this is encouraging you to take that risk, to share, to put your uniqueness out into the world, something like that. You have the Two of Pentacles. I do feel a lot of ideas here for you, Libra. Again, Seven of Pentacles, analysis paralysis. I feel that energy a little bit in this reading for sure. I felt that was the first thing I felt in your reading, basically, was that Seven of Pentacles. And so, but, again, one thing that helped me in my life is kind of breaking things down into 90 days. I talk about this a lot too because it changed my life. But, I used to have a lot of ideas and I would never get started. And so by the end of a year, I would have nothing done. But what I started doing is writing down my ideas, and then I would pick one and work on it for 90 days. If it worked, great. I'd just keep doing it. If it doesn't work, then I get rid of it, right? And so at the end of the year, I pretty much do 4 things instead of nothing, right? And it kind of, led to a lot of progress. So maybe that's something that would be helpful for you if you're juggling ideas or plans or things that you want to do with the Two of Pentacles. He's got a lot going on with the Two of Pentacles, and I would think about that with this card. I also, by the way, completely unrelated, I do feel if you're waiting for a settlement, I feel like I said this to you recently as well, which is interesting, over the past couple months, but if you're waiting for a settlement, like an insurance payout or legal payout or something, what do you call that, child support, things like that, I feel that some of you could be getting a settlement here. Yeah, with the Six of Swords, you have the Three of Swords. It's funny because everybody has been getting the Three of Swords. Again, the Virgo energy is excellent for healing. I think we're also in an excellent time for forgiveness, forgiving the past and completely, moving on and moving forward and letting it go. So anything that you can heal from the past or release from the past would be good with the Three of Swords. And again, I am not surprised to see that card at all for pretty much everyone, just because of the Virgo eclipse, especially on the 21st. With the Five of Swords, you have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, Ace of Cups could be love, it is a good time for love. You have the Ten of Cups here as well, which is also great for love. The other crazy thing about these readings, I would say, is a lot of aces, and, eclipses can eclipse things out, so obviously we can start something new. You have 2 aces here, and so 2 aces is, number 1, a definite yes to any question I don't answer, but number 2, 2 aces is good for new beginnings, starting anything new. And with the Ace of Cups, especially anything that would be fulfilling for you, Ace of Cups is your emotions overflowing, being very happy. So I think starting things or doing things that you're passionate about would be good. With the Two of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Cups. See, a lot of you could be healing your heart as well, because the Queen of Cups is very heart-based. She follows her heart and what her heart tells her to do. Three of Swords, you have to remove those swords from your heart to be able to follow your heart in the first place. The Three of Swords, again, usually we do that through forgiveness or through releasing something. And so I think that healing your heart is being asked of you in this first row. Next, we're going to look at what is being eclipsed out of your life. And you have this Waking Lion card and this Uncharted Sea card. Comfort, right? Again, it's kind of like a weird time, I think, because, and again, I say I think because I don't actually know, but I feel that for a lot of us, we are being pushed out of a comfort zone. Even just doing some astrology math here, we had Pluto go from Capricorn to Aquarius. It actually did that several times, right? Retrograded over the cusp a few times. And, now it's retrograding again, Pluto, but it's only going to go to 1.3 degrees of Aquarius, somewhere around there. But Pluto and Capricorn is significant. Again, Pluto is generational. It takes 280 whatever years for Pluto to come back to a sign. So most people in history do not experience Pluto and Capricorn. It is a big change. And it's one of those things where, Pluto and Capricorn, definitely asks us to release something that maybe made us comfortable or, asks us to let go of establishments, things like that. So, a lot of us have been asked to step into uncharted territory. And now that, Pluto is officially in Aquarius and it's not going to go back into Capricorn in our lifetimes ever again, we are definitely being asked to step into uncharted seas. Again, if you're doing something that you've been doing for a long time, there are going to be things about it that make you uncomfortable. Does that mean you have to quit? No, it just means that you have to upgrade. I'll even tell you, like, even this channel right here, right? I've been doing this for over 10 years now on YouTube, and it's like there are changes that are happening on YouTube and with AI and all this other stuff that make me uncomfortable, right? But it's like, how can I work with it? And that is what I feel like this energy is asking. It's not about like the complete releasing of anything, and I think that's what the Seven of Pentacles is getting at in your reading, Libra. Seven of Pentacles, I kind of like the Seven of Pentacles, but there is a little bit of fear that goes into the card. And he is looking at these Seven Pentacles, and he's looking at everything he has grown. But there are certain, he's done a lot of work to grow those pentacles, right? And so this card says, is the juice worth the squeeze? Which you get with me all the freaking time, every single reading I do for you, basically. And the thing that he needs to realize is he's not losing this. Like, he's not losing anything from what he has grown. If anything, he would be enhancing things that he has grown. Or he might decide to grow something new. It's almost like he doesn't have to leave the fields that he is standing in right now, but he can stay in that field, but maybe he has to grow something new, like a new vegetable or a new type of pentacle or something like that. And I kind of feel that for you, Libra, where it's like you could be leaving some old ways, but it's not like you're completely letting go of what you've been doing or who you are or, anything like that. So, there is something about like a radical transformation here. You have the Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands is the Wounded Warrior. Nine of Wands definitely says don't give up. I think that you have to not give up on the Ten of Cups. We go up here, the Queen of Cups up to the Ten of Cups. The Nine of Wands, he is willing to try something one more time. And, I feel that for you. I kind of feel that's the message I'm getting for you, Libra. I would say this reading's flowing very nicely. The other readings were a little bit more of what I would call like a staccato energy, more choppy, more punchy. Yours is nice and a little bit more flowy. So while, there are definitely some sticking points, like most, whenever we have eclipses, we can encounter a sticking point like analysis paralysis or whatever. I feel there is a flow here, which is different than everybody else. I only have a few more readings to do and I'm done. So with this set of readings. So again, I've done most of them. And again, everybody else's have been more, the best way I can describe it is punchy energy or, sharp. And yours is different. So I do kind of like this. You have the Hermit. The Hermit, he needs to leave Hermit mode, obviously. He has he's climbed to the top of a mountain. He's been through something difficult. And he has his inner light inside this lantern. But he's been through dark night of the soul. He's done some soul searching. Now he's found answers, and he has to come down from the mountain. We are definitely in a time where everybody has to come down from the mountain. And I feel that for you, Libra, where it's like time for you to share your knowledge, time for you to like put your knowledge out into the world. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Five of Swords. Again, leaving something behind that causes you conflict. Definitely, it's pretty obvious to me. With the Nine of Wands, you have the Five of Cups. Yeah, I definitely feel this as well. The not being able to handle another disappointment, right? Nine of Wands with the Five of Cups is kind of like having been disappointed many times in the past and just thinking to yourself, like, I cannot handle being disappointed again. And I totally understand that, Libra. Like, I totally get where you're coming from. But the trick with the Five of Cups is he needs to release something that isn't working. The story of the card is that he's lost his taste for wine, and he has these two cups behind him in this bridge in this castle. So he needs to, like, turn around and be grateful for what he has, and then he gets something better. So, it kind of gives me the feelings of maybe you not seeing something in your life or needing to see something, right? Maybe is a better way to put it, because it's like the two cups exist behind you. Or, the opportunity exists, but you do have to see it. And that is kind of popping into my head with this card. With the Hermit, you have two cards. You have the Tower and the King of Pentacles. Again, exactly what I said, the death of establishment. King of Pentacles is establishment. He is an established order, something that is established. The Tower is the collapsing of that situation. A lot of people have had the Tower. Again, eclipses are Tower moments. Eclipses bring in new realities. That's it. The other thing is you have the Judgment card. Tower and the Judgment card is a major revelation, an aha moment, a light bulb moment, kind of understanding something on a deeper level. And I feel that a lot of you could be having these kind of like shocks, these ideas that pop into your head, which we kind of talked about earlier in the reading. And so I would be paying attention to those sudden ideas, which I've been saying to you for weeks. But and again, the eclipse seasons last for like 6 months, right? So between now and 6 months from now, basically like March of next year, I would be paying attention to ideas that randomly pop up for you. In your next row, we'll take these two as well, which is going to represent where you're being redirected at this time. You have this ears wide open card and this into me I see card. Yes, I feel the whole entire reading is saying it's time to get intimate with yourself. What do you want deep down inside? I also feel you need this ears wide open card kind of says you need to listen to what's being said, but also what's not being said. Pluto and Aquarius, what I feel is that Pluto and Aquarius wants us to do things that benefit the collective, but it doesn't want us to become part of the hive mind, right? So it wants us to be, kind of follow our own unique journey, be individuals, but also benefit the collective. And I feel understanding who you are, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, would be a good thing for you right now. You also, in this row, have the intuition card and the past card. A lot of stuff about the past. It is a karmic time, kind of. North Node in Pisces, South Node Virgo, plus 2 eclipses there, Definitely karma. North Node in Pisces alone can bring up thoughts of karma or past things that we've been through. And it can kind of, it's not really good or bad, but it can also be both at the same time. Because it's bad if we stay stuck in the past, obviously. It's good if we look at the lessons of the past and we say, oh, I'm not going to do that again, right? But also good because there are good lessons. There are things we can learn. We can pay attention to cycles, things that worked, and we can do them again, right? And so I would be thinking of it from that perspective, for sure. You also, in this row, for where you're being redirected, have the Ten of Cups, the Knight of Swords, and the Ace of Wands. The Ten of Cups is like fortune after difficulty, happiness. All your readings, you get the Ten of Cups as well, I've noticed, or a lot. The thing about the Ten of Cups is these people are dreaming of these 10 cups above their heads, but they're celebrating, they're in the real world. I always say my problem with the Ten of Cups right now is Neptune and Pisces. Neptune's in Aries right now, but it is going to be retrograding back into Pisces this year. So we kind of have one more taste of that Neptune and Pisces energy. Neptune and Pisces is like the big impossible dream, but also we can get stuck in the fantasy. We can live it too much in our head, and we don't actually ever bring it down to earth. So I would start taking steps towards, the impossible dream, which I say to everyone at this time. Because again, we're getting one more chance to do something that could bring us more happiness and joy. I kind of feel the whole reading is asking you to focus on your own happiness, not anyone else's. You have the Knight of Swords and the Six of Pentacles here. I think this is about investment. It's about not saying it's about the amount of time you give something is what I'm trying to say here. Sometimes I think it's hard to get into that Goldilocks zone. It's funny that I said that 90-day thing, because I have found that 90 days is a good amount of time to give something where it's like, if it's going to work, you're going to see progress. If it's not going to work, then you're not going to see progress, right? And I feel that's what this is talking about. Knight of Swords is too hasty. He makes decisions too quickly without really figuring out if something is going to work or not, right? And so I feel that it would be, I think you should give something until March, right? It would be an amazing time for you to get to the bottom of something right now, like a project you want to work on, something you want to do about yourself, something you want to work on inside of yourself. Give yourself until March. I think that would be a good amount of time where you're not rushing it. You're also not giving it so much time that you're wasting your time. And I feel you really could surprise yourself over the next 6 months, and I would challenge you, this is a challenge from me, but I would challenge you to do that. I would challenge yourself to work on a project for 6 months, do something you've never done before for 6 months, and just see where it takes you. Six of Pentacles is all about planting seeds and creating balance, which you're a Libra. You are very good at doing that. You have the Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands is out with the old, in with the new. The whole entire reading is talking about out with the old, in with the new. Like I said, I don't even think you have to completely change. I just feel up Seven of Pentacles. If he's been growing, potatoes in his field. It's like maybe you need to start growing some carrots or something else. I feel it's about kind of enhancing something that you are doing. That is like the key word that I would use for you, Libra. I think that enhancement would be a good word for you to focus on instead of a complete 360 destructive change in your life. What can you do to enhance your circumstances? And that's it. I think that you will be very happy if you enhance your life or do something to make that happen. With the Ten of Cups, you have the Hierophant. Yeah, Hierophant says, like, why do you feel like you have to fit in? That's the question that's popping into my head. Again, I read intuitively, so I don't just regurgitate card meanings. And that is the question that he's asking you. So why, Ten of Cups, sometimes we can have a dream, but maybe we feel like there are certain traditions or certain rules that we have to follow. But why? I feel that's the question he's asking. And again, I can't answer that question for you. You have to answer that on your own. With the Six of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords, you have the Page of Swords getting to the bottom of something. Page of Swords, he really is very curious, and he explores his curiosity. If he doesn't know how to do something, he looks into it, he researches it, he studies it, and he really kind of dives deep into it. It would be an excellent time for you to do that here, Libra. I would pick 3 activities per day to do. I don't know. I wish I had a good example, but let's say you want to get to the bottom of your health. It's like maybe it would be the 3 things you could do is watch a video about something related to your health. Maybe you could journal about it, and then maybe you could do something about it, like go for a walk or something like that, right? I would pick 3 things. Same thing in business. Maybe you want to get a different job or move into a different industry. Same thing. I would pick a research thing, research it a little bit every single day, watch a video about it, journal about it or write about it or take a note about it. And then, maybe you should start a YouTube channel talking about it, and you just do that, right? 3 things. That's what I'm getting here. It's almost like, here's the thing as well, is that Ace of Wands is about the fire. We have to keep putting wood on the fire with the Ace of Wands. And I think 3 simple tasks every single day over the next 6 months, this literally could take you 10 minutes a day, right? You could watch a video on triple speed, and, that's what I do every single morning. What part of my routine is every single morning I watch a video about YouTube. I learn something new. You all see the experiments I run on this channel, and I watch a video about it. I implement one thing that I learned. If I see if it worked, I see if it didn't, right? And that's it. And I feel that putting that wood on the fire can get something to grow. With the Ace of Wands, you have the Strength card. You've been very patient. It's almost like these 2 are the opposites in your reading, the Hermit and the Strength card. This is what I feel more intuitively for you, Libra. It's saying to me that, the Hermit is kind of hiding his strength. And the Strength card, she is putting her strength on display. She is showing people how strong she is by taming that lion. And you have this card, right? What did it say? It said waking the lion or something. Yeah, it said waking the lion. So maybe that's what you need to do is awaken your inner confidence or awaken your inner lion or whatever. There's one, I say this to Leo all the time, is one of my favorite quotes is from Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. He says, real lions like to hunt, right? So meaning that if you say you are something, you have to do it, right? And that's what I feel the waking the lion part of this reading is saying. This is deep reading here, Libra. It's kind of a weird reading because it's flowing in a weird direction. Or I don't know. I just haven't had a reading like this in a while, but I like it. I definitely like where it's going. Next, we're going to look at your next chapter. Eclipses bring in a next chapter. You can't make this one up. You have this questions card. It says surroundings, guides, and circumstances. I got a lot of questions off of this reading. You have this Earth card. It says stability, fertility, balance, and nurture. Yes, I think you need to nurture something into existence. If you give something 6 months, then you're going to have to take care of it, right? And again, I would just pick one thing. It doesn't even have to be anything important. It could be your mindset, could be your health, could be a project you want to work on, Libra. But this reading is very clear to me. I don't know if you can tell, but when I feel like this type of energy, that's the reading just when it flows out, it's like we've been reading now for 24 minutes, which I can't believe. This is one of those readings where I feel like I've been reading for 3 minutes. It's just coming out, right? So, again, I think when you nurture something, it's good. And the whole reading is saying that. You have the Two of Swords, the Ten of Swords, and the Judgment card. This is definitely about a perspective right here. Like I was saying at the beginning of the reading, that magical triangle between Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune that we're going to have until 2027 is definitely going to bring some new perspectives, where there are going to be new or different ways of doing things. We just have to be open to it. We don't have to necessarily agree with it or be excited about it, but we just have to explore these new ideas, and that's what I would do with the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords also, I do get a little bit of don't settle type energy coming up in this reading, so I do feel it's saying, if there's a dream you have, then you shouldn't settle for less with that Ten of Cups. With the Ten of Swords, next you have the Ten of Swords. You are one of the few signs that I can say fits in well with the eclipses, in the sense that you literally probably are removing something from your life. None of the other signs so far have really had something that says they're cutting something out. You are one of the only signs that has really had a message that says you're probably removing an old way of doing things, or, kind of changing your life in that sense. Ten of Swords is a blessing in disguise. Eclipses are blessings in disguise. I think something people don't really know about eclipses is that, some astrologers will describe them as a 1-2 punch. It's like sometimes something can be eclipsed out of our life. We're a little bit worried about it, but then we also see the blessing in the very near future. So it makes sense that something like this would come up right now. You have the Judgment card. Yeah, pay attention to those ideas. Judgment and the Tower is a major light bulb moment, or that inspiration. If you've been feeling kind of meh lately, if you've been feeling uninspired, I definitely feel that not even 6 months from now, I feel less amount of time, I think shortly, that maybe even this month you will feel inspired or excited about something that you're going to be working on. And yeah, that's what I would focus on with the Judgment card for sure. Yeah, with the Two of Swords, you have the Eight of Cups. Just more, the only card in the tarot with an eclipse on it, by the way. So walking away from something that no longer serves you. It's funny that I said don't settle, because he is walking away from 8 cups, right? He is walking away from something that does provide him with something. But he just knows that he would be settling if he stayed in this situation. So definitely no settling. With the Ten of Swords, you show up as the Justice card. Whenever you show up as yourself, it puts you in a position of power and strength, allows you to get what you want from the reading. So very good. And with the Judgment card, you have the Knight of Wands. Yes, definitely more adventure, more exploration. I think everybody pretty much has had something about exploration. We have to, the way that I describe it is, we are in an amazing time for variety. If we give ourselves more options, or but from the perspective of exploring variety, then we will be more successful. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves, right? That's why I said pick 3 things to do, because what you're doing by picking just 3 things, you're limiting yourself a little bit. You're not going too crazy doing 900 things at once, burning yourself out, but it's enough that you're doing enough things to see what is going to work, right? We're going to see anything else that wants to come up in this reading. You have this Influence card. I would be careful of external influences right now with that magic triangle. Plus also Neptune and Aries. Neptune and Aries is looking for a savior for the next 14 years. I say this all the time, but with Neptune and Aries, I think we really need to be careful of just accepting a person's word as gospel, including me. And, you need to, it's a good time to learn from other people, but put it into practice, see what works for you, right? And that's what I would do there. You have this Resistance card. Yes, for sure. There's that 7 of Pentacles, a little bit of resistance. Resistance, one of my favorite books of all time, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. He says that, when you are closest to your goal, that's when you feel the most resistance. So you probably maybe have been in a little bit of a dip for a while, but I do feel like you're coming out of it, Libra. I do, kind of like it. I don't like the dip, but I like what's happening. You have this Seduction card. There's a little bit of love here, but this reading is all about you. I mean, again, this is a deep reading. It's a deep work reading. You're asking yourself questions, things like that during these eclipses. But, of course, if you want love, I would put yourself out there. Next, you have this Drama card. I would avoid drama. at all costs. You know, we've had a lot of energy in Leo. We had Mars retrograde last year. Mercury went retrograde in Leo this year, just this recent Mercury retrograde. Next year, Jupiter will go retrograde in Leo. Kind of weird when 3 planets, kind of like one after another, go retrograde in the same sign. It can definitely call back the original energy being Mars retrograde. So, you know, avoid drama. And finally, yes, you have this extremism card. You being the opposite sign of Aries, you know, I would be careful of extremism, you know, people who are extreme, things like that. But overall, damn, Libra, this reading flows really nicely, and I do like it. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your month.